can see newborn babies experiencing erection. Stimulation, perhaps during even diaper change, things like that. Some studies show, I have a couple books that say some studies show even detection of erections in the womb. And again, it's just because it's kind of like a physiological reflex. It's almost like your physiology is kind of running through everything your body does, and it's like, okay, check this out. All right, still working, kind of check, 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 and now we're kind of functioning well. Males are, again, Paul kind of brought this up a little bit. During sleep, males may have an erection, right? Not necessarily a wet dream where you actually have ejaculation, but just an erection. And that is not necessarily related to a sex-related dream. It could just be, again, this physiological piece of your body kind of running through what it does as it's perhaps refining neuronal connections over the night. So a lot of men may wake up in the morning and be like, what's going on? Right? I have an erection, or we have morning wood, or all these different names that people have for it. And perhaps they may say, well, gosh, I must have been having some sort of sexual dream, I wish I could remember. But many times it's not, right? Many times it's not related to that at all. And usually that occurs in REM sleep. Yes?
I heard that erections for infants and toddlers aren't comfortable for them, that it makes them fussy.
It can make them fussy, but a lot of times it doesn't last that long. I think maybe if it was an irregular length of time, it can. There is some argument that there are experiences of orgasm even in toddlerhood, but there is no substance to be ejaculated. So in that sense, there could also be the fussiness, because there could be some sort of stimulation that's reaching the point of orgasm and can be slightly painful for the child, especially when they don't understand what it is. But if you think about it, orgasms in some level are painful, right? Or caused, but many times it's a big pain, right? But for this toddler, they don't understand that. Yeah, but that's a good question. So REM sleep, many times we see most of our dreaming occur during REM sleep. But it does not mean that there was a sex-related dream that caused this erection. So we also have, when talking about erection, what causes an erection? A lot of times we think, okay, there's some sort of stimulation that's causing arousal. But you don't always have to have physical stimulation to achieve an erection, right? Everybody kind of realizes that. You can have just psychologically, you can think about something that's going to arouse you and achieve an erection. Okay, so that would be more of a psychogenic cause of erection versus physiogenic. Right? Physiogenic meaning bodily, some sort of stimulation that's actually physically touching you, and then thoughts kind of leading to. Right? Many times you have both that are present together. Right? There are some thoughts about, oh, this is my person, I'm really attracted to her, and then there's also stimulation together. Many times you have both together. Great. Okay, so here we have pictures of what is going on during ejaculation here. Again, this is the spinal reflexes triggering this ejaculation. It happens in two phases, which I have. Let's put both of them up there. You have the emission phase and you have the expulsion phase. So whenever we think of ejaculation, we tend to think of it being linked to orgasm, but it's not always the case, right? Males can have orgasm without ejaculation. In this emission phase, this is again after arousal, and usually this is reaching a point where this male now realizes that they are kind of past that point of no return, and they are going to have ejaculation. Okay? And usually that point of no return is when that fluid now is trapped in the urethral bulb. And now that urethra realizes, hey, we are not going to have any urine pass through here, we need to close close these sphincters, urethral sphincters, and allow the other side to open so that sperm can pass through, so that seminal fluid can pass through. And then we have the expulsion phase, right? That is the actual expelling of fluid, expelling of semen. usually through rhythmic contraction. Maybe a few, maybe more, depending on the strength of the orgasm. So on average, some say, 3 to 4 or 5 contractions, but it could be more than that, okay, depending on the strength. There can be some problems that occur, which pointing out here, retrograde ejaculation. This is when semen is expelled into the bladder, which I don't really have a picture of. Yeah. Instead of being expelled out of the penis, it is expelled into the bladder, so it never leaves the body at all. Okay? It's not a bad thing, it's not necessarily harmful. The only reason it could be considered somewhat negative is because now this is rendering the male, unable to have kids, unable to fertilize because there's no sperm. Usually this is caused by things like prostate surgery, maybe a complication related to prostate surgery, some sort of birth problem, and also the use of tranquilizers can cause these problems. Can be rectified if it's kind of discovered, but again, not an area of high concern unless we are concerned about being infertile. Yes.
Is this something that happens to everyone, every guy once in a while, and then it's a problem happens all the time? Or?
I don't think so. I don't think that it's that common. I don't think it's that common. And we also have nocturnal ejaculations, or these are wet dreams, or many times it's into a dream. And that is not as well understood, the reason behind that. I think some of the theories about sleep would say that during REM sleep, right, when you tend to dream the most, this is when your brain is kind of going through all the things that it's experienced during the day and trying to either make sense of it, make connections for your neurons if you try to learn new information, and also sort through anything else that kind of needs to be processed. And maybe part of that processing could be perhaps some sort of encounter during the day that was arousing to this male and perhaps wasn't able to be acted on, can be linked to this dream. So a lot of times, especially if we look at it from a psychodynamic perspective, since this is a psychology class, the way that Freud looks at dreams is that during these dreams, we're having a chance to act out a whole bunch of things that we weren't able to act out in real life. So again, if there is some instance of sexual attraction, sexual arousal for this male in real life that they're not able to act on, perhaps during this dream state, they will be able to act on it, right? Having sex with whoever the woman is or whoever it is in their dream, and therefore be able to deal with that quote-unquote pent-up feeling without having harm done to him in real life. I had a client that was a young kid, but already hit puberty, and he reported maybe 2 or 3 times dreams where he was sexually active with either another male in his class or a good male friend of his down the street. And again, if you were to even think about acting on this in real life, that would cause him a lot of problems, right? With that friend, with his parents, with school, with whoever else ever found out about it. So there is this thought that perhaps, because he was also very taken aback by it. So when he would have this dream, I can't believe I dreamed this, right? How did I have this sort of dream? And there was a big concern that either this was a young boy that was transgender or was gay and hadn't really realized it yet and kind of come out to himself. But again, that's just a different perspective on nocturnal ejaculation. When they say it's not really understood, they mean scientifically. Psychodynamically, we can go all over the place and look again. Links to dreams and understandings of dreams. All right. So, now, actually, I think we'll take our break first because if we get started on this, we're going to go over time. So basically, 3 minutes to 8, we'll come back and get into some of this more discussion. I'm going to look at some notes.